meeting to order. Clerk? No, I'm sorry. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call roll, please.
Vidae. Rozak. Here. Crouch.
Here.
Scarberry.
Here.
Mayor Langsford.
Here. Are there any changes to the agenda? I have one. We need to scratch Kurt Vidai's name from Tourism Board. Now, do we need a motion to approve the new agenda?
Yes.
A motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Rozak.
Aye.
Crouch.
Aye.
Scarberry.
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Public comment. Anyone like to address the council? Please step to the podium and state your name, please. Hearing none, then we'll move to new business. Item 1.
I can give you a motion to call the public hearing to order.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion to open the public meeting regarding proposed approval of the Streator Business Development District Number 1 plan and the designation of the proposed business redevelopment area.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Rozak.
Aye.
Crouch.
Aye.
Scarberry.
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Request any public comments regarding the public hearing from the public and council?
Mayor, if I may make a few introductory comments. My name is Herb Klein, and our firm has been retained to establish the business development district for the city of Streator. There are some summary handouts here if anybody would like a copy that explain what a business development district is and how it works for municipalities. It's an economic development tool, somewhat similar to TIF, except it's much less controversial, much less impact on the other taxing bodies. It doesn't affect real estate taxes. It allows the city to impose up to a 1% additional sales tax or hotel motel tax in the designated business development district area. And you can impose that in 0.25% increments up to 1%. It can last for 23 years. You can use those funds for infrastructure in that area, to incentivize developers to rehab or relocate or to Streator to that area, improve their existing structures. The summary handout has the proposed boundary area. It's about 17 parcels. We did have to do a study under the TIF Act and under the BDD Act to determine that the area does qualify, and it does qualify under the Act, we're confident. Really the driving force behind this is the proposed North Point Hotel, and this would be an additional way to fund some of the infrastructure improvements necessary to accommodate that. There's a draft plan that is on file with the city. There'll be some final changes, just some edits and cleanup of some language before it comes back to the council for final approval. This is really the last step before final approval in the statutory process that we have to go through. So if there's any questions or comments, now would be the time. Otherwise, the city could consider this, Mayor, as soon as their next meeting if they wanted to.
Okay, thanks, sir.
I have a question. Roamers, it used to call the old town and country, but now it's the old motel that sits on the highway there.
Yes.
A while ago, they had asked me and asked Scott, which I did, and they wanted to be considered or included in this. Is that possible to?
They're about there.
No, they're not.
They're not now,
They're
but
adjacent.
Scott said he would look into it, but they were willing to, you know, to do also what, you know, be part of it, and I didn't know if they had to be contingent You know, if-
Well, they have to be contiguous, yeah, the area has to be contiguous, you can't have islands, so the area has to all be connected. At this point, if we were gonna add a parcel at this point, it would, delay the process in that we'd have to amend the plan on file, add that, redo the map, and come back and do this again. Or they could be added in the future as well, if they add a project in the future. Our office, Jeremy may know better how the map came to be. We did not specifically say this is the map we recommend. We worked obviously with the city, is to come up with the map that they wanted.
That was, you mentioned it to me, that's the first I heard of it. I mean, this is something that started with the city manager's office, and I drew the map based on.
Scott said he was going to look into it, but then, of course, he left.
Yeah. Other questions, comments?
What's the process to add them later?
We would just have to do an ordinance amending the plan, we would have to have a public hearing, but as you can see, this isn't a big deal, it wouldn't be a huge undertaking to do it. It's not like a TIF, where you got convenience joint review board and send all the notices to all the taxing bodies.
Do all the stores know that this is being proposed, or?
Actually, I was just working on that today. That was something, there's an exhibit in the plan that requires a business listing, and I was going through them, so let's see if I can go down to it. It was New China, Subway, I'm gonna send this to Gwen.
Okay,
Subway, Susie's Poker, Boost Mobile, Kleinthorpe and Jenkins, Big R, Teleperformance, The Place to Be, Streator Flooring, Epplin Home Improvement, Fitness Premier, and the cinema, Streator Eagle 6.
They've all agreed, or they're just in it?
They are in this map.
Well, the developer at one time was gonna get us a signed letter from Big R that they were okay with this. I don't think we've seen that yet.
Yeah, well, our office has not seen it, and, you certainly don't have to adopt this at your next
No.
meeting. If you want to wait and track some of that down before you put this for approval, that's fine. The state certifies these twice a year, in October and April. If you do it, get it in by their October deadline, which their deadline is really the middle of September, then you will start getting the increased tax as of January 1. So you have a little time here if you want to run that down with some of the businesses and make sure that they're comfortable with it. I know that's something that the prior city manager and I talked about. I don't know how far it went with Big R or any of the other ones. So you're not taking any action tonight. If you want to, we can always make the map smaller. And if we're going to make some
I'd just
revisions,
like to make sure that everyone's on board with it, and that's all.
Yeah,
With the,
no, that's a good point.
Any other comments? Then I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So,
Second?
second.
Brian, second. Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry.
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Thanks, Herb.
Thank you, and I'll just keep working with David and Jeremy if you have any questions, and or if he wants to talk to anyone or meet with anyone.
Item 2.
I believe the council discussed this at some length at the committee of the whole meeting last month. It's an ordinance we're adopting, currently by our safety officer of the school, as well as school districts, and I think all's in order and ready to proceed.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance amending Title 8, Smoking Materials, Section 8.40.010, definitions, and Section 8.40.020, prohibited sales, delivery, and signage, and Title 8, Health and Safety, Chapter 8.44, Smoke-Free Illinois. Act adopted, section 8.44.010 adopted by reference of the Streator Municipal Code of the Ordinance relative to electronic cigarettes and alternative nicotine products and raising the legal age to purchase or possess tobacco products from 18 to 21. A motion, please.
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Mr. Brozak, and I have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Crouch. Any other discussion? Now, this is tougher than the states, right? Because they didn't cover the possession.
State law allows you, I believe, you can't purchase it, but you can have it at 18.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my question is that a legal battle we're going to?
No, I think we're confident that this is, we
This is
can have
ours.
a bit more restrictive in that area.
Right, and the intent was to keep it out of the high school.
Exactly.
Both,
Yes.
both tobacco and the vaping devices.
Any other comments, questions? Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 3. I'd entertain a motion to place on file Plan Commission's recommendation 2019-07.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 4. Now I'd entertain a motion to approve an award of facade grant in the amount of $15,000 to Jeff Zabata, property owner of 409 East Main Street.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 5, entertain a motion to place, to receive and place on file the Zoning Board of Appeals recommendation 2019-02.
So moved, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there any comments, Chairman, you want to make on this?
Yeah, the zoning board of appeals, they opened their meeting last Tuesday, and then petitioner was not at that meeting, so they held it open, left the public hearing open until last night, where they met and unanimous recommendation to approve. It's for a side setback of a garage. The existing garage has a setback of roughly 3 feet, 2.5 feet actually, and he would like to tear that garage down and rebuild a new garage. The adjoining property owner was in support, and the zoning board of appeals found they made rulings on the 6 factors that were required to make the recommendation. They found positive for all those and unanimously recommended for the site to allow for the reconstruction of an old garage.
Okay, thank you. Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 6. Entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing and granting a variance from the provisions of Title 17, Chapter 17.40, Density, Dimensional, and Other Regulations, Section 17.40.010D, Garages and Accessory Building Setback Requirements, to allow for construction of an accessory structure side yard setback less than 7 feet.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Scarberry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Crouch. Any other discussion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 7. You want to highlight this?
Well, I can. The city entered into a development agreement with Baxter for their project expansion. As part of the agreement, the city is responsible for constructing certain public improvements, road and other improvements, as well as providing development incentives to that factory to reimburse them for eligible expenses. This bond is intended to pay for those obligations that the city incurred when it signed the development agreement.
Thank you. And entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing and providing for the issue of not to exceed 2.5 million general obligation bonds, alternative revenue sources, series 2019, of the city of Streator to sell in Livingston County, Illinois, for the purpose of paying the cost of the eligible redevelopment projects within the city redevelopment project area, providing for the pledge of certain TIF revenues to the payment of principal and interest on the bonds, and the levying of a direct annual tax to pay such principal and interest of the pledged revenues are insufficient to make such payment, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Crouch, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Scarberry. Is there any other discussion or comment? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Number 8. Want to highlight this one, Jeremy?
Yeah, thank you. This one is on South Illinois from Lundy Street to Main Street. Now that we're wrapping up the storm sewer construction project that was going to be completed soon, you guys had a contract going on this spring. We had a separate contract to come through and repave that entire street from Lundy to Main. We had a bid opening last week, and the low bidder was Advanced Asphalt. So came in under estimate, so recommend award for the project to repave South Illinois.
Okay. I entertain a motion to authorize and approve awarding a contract to Advanced Asphalt Company, Princeton, Illinois, for the 2019 MFT roadway project, which includes the milling and overlay of South Illinois streets from Main Street to Lundy Street.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Brozak, second by Mr. Crouch. Any other discussion or comment? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
and Mayor Lansford.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 9, contain a motion to authorize revisions to the city council policy, Title 5, use of park properties and application for park permit for the use of the city parks.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Crouch, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brozak. Is there any comments? Anything you want to
No.
add? Anybody else have any comments? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. I'd entertain a motion to approve the mayor appointments.
So moved, Jeremy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments or questions? Other than the one that Mr. Bedai has been scratched as a candidate. Can we approve all these at once?
Yeah, you can do it all as a later.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Item 12, probably should be item 11, right?
Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with a fund warrant total of $672,579.58 and resolution for cruise night and St. Michael's 5K Defender Dash.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Scarberry, and I want a second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brozak. Any other discussion or comments? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. We'll move to city official comments. Mr. Brozak, you have anything?
No, sir.
No. Joe?
No, sir.
No? Just a couple of announcements. We received notification from IDOT that this, of course, is going to depend on funding and everything else that's going on at the state level. But Route 18 from 251 to the west of the city limits of Streator is scheduled for remilling and resurfacing for the summer of 2019. So that's a positive coming into town from the west side. I'd like to recognize the Streator FFA for their accomplishments. Tristan Gary, Hayden Stashko, Mackenzie Donahue, Aaliyah Ogle, Jacob Black, Lance Mortz, Taylor Irwin, Helena Ogle, and Janice White, and that the Streator Ag program has been named 13th out of 334, the best program in the state of Illinois. So I think it's a plus for the kids there at the Streator High School. Also, to let everyone know that Trey Ragusa has entered into an agreement with McKiernan to operate the old Owens, Illinois field, and he would like to reestablish use of that field for activities. And if anyone has any use or wants to participate on that field, is to get a hold of Mr. Ragusa then for that purposes. I have nothing else then, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Scarberry, is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Crouch, clerk, call the roll, please.
Bozak,
Aye.
Crouch,
Aye.
Scarberry,
Aye.
Mayor Lansford.
Aye. Stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.